So we're down at dome number 2. All right, so now it's time to get on to what we're really needing to get to because it has got pea gravel in it.
Oh, okay.
So you can see these boards. Welcome to Retired for Life. I'm your host, Brian. I retired a few years ago after 30 years in a factory job as a machinist in a millwright. I needed to rediscover what life could really be like. When we purchased this property, the house had stood empty for over a year, and the property had been badly ravaged by poor logging practices. Since my retirement, I've been working to renovate the home and restore the surrounding forest to its natural beauty and attract wildlife back to the property. Join me as I learn about nature and working with wood to create the backdrop for this new chapter of our lives. Well, good morning, YouTube, and welcome back to Retired for Life. So I have made the decision not to go ahead and build a big wooden structure to store my lumber in. I just really can't justify it. So I am moving ahead with preparing the domes, or repairing our domes, the temporary garages that I have been using, to get them ready for this coming winter. And that means that I'm replacing the tarps on them. So the smaller one is actually in pretty reasonable shape, but we've gone ahead and reinforced all the corners for it where the poles meet up to make sure they're still good and strong. But this one, the tarp was starting to come through right where the poles turn up for the roof. So that tarp has been pulled off, and we're in the process of putting the new one on. So we're down at dome number 2. Now this was an issue that I wasn't counting on. The tarp that I put up over top of this one was a little bit on the short side. So what ended up happening is the original cover over this tent rotted and gave way, which I wasn't counting on. So we have to do something a little bit different with this one. All right, folks, there we go. So we've got all our tarps in place. So our 3 domes are now ready for winter. The tractor dome was done earlier on, so it's completely fine. I don't need to do anything with that. So it's functional, and that's all that we're really worried about. And with my helper, it was a lot easier to get these tarps on over top.
Yes, it wasn't easy, but
Yes.
I can't imagine what you would have had to go through to do this yourself.
They're there.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you a look at the side here. All right, so we're all weighed down at the bottom. We reinforced everything inside. So this blue tarp will protect us for probably a couple of years. It's not the best quality tarp, but this was more of an experiment in size to see how this one worked, and it works very nicely. All right, so now it's time to get on to what we're really needing to get to, which is that wall of the house. All right, we'll see you there. All right, folks, so we're getting started on this wall. So all we're doing right now is exposing the bottom of the boards that are here. And then we're going to start taking these boards out. And as always, this will be a little bit of mission of discovery to see what it is behind these boards. I'm a little worried about what's there because, once again, I don't see what's holding them in place.
I don't think there's much. Yep.
Okay. You want to run that up? And there's a pile. You see where the black
four-wheel trailer is. There's a pile right at the edge of the bush back in there. So that's where you're dumping it.
Why aren't we using the black four-wheel trailer?
Because it has got pea gravel in it.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like what they have done is attached, I think they've attached a board back behind the siding here and ran it down, and then these horizontal boards they've attached to this piece that's going down into the ground. And you can see it's just the whole thing is wobbling around here. See, this is really soft stuff, with the exception of the rocks that you keep running into.
Say that one more time.
Yeah.
Pull back to the ground.
So you can see here how far down these boards go before we actually get to the styrofoam. So, and everything down here is just not in very good shape. And there again is another one of those boards that's running down. So we'll have to figure out what they're connected to up here. So I don't think the styrofoam is in too bad a condition. And here's one that's got a board running down on the outside. So I just don't know what we're gonna get here until we got everything peeled off. All right, folks, we're gonna start trying to pull some of these boards off to see what it is we've got underneath here. Well, it's coming off.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Okay, guys, so you can see how there's these ribs back behind this. So these boards were coming down from behind our board and batten, and this is what these things were getting fastened to. This is what held everything in place. Well, kind of. There is something a little strange going on here that I can't quite figure out yet. We'll have to have a closer look at. All right, let's get ready for that. So the styrofoam here actually looks in good shape. I'm relieved about that. But so you can see these boards, these blocks that are up against the wood foundation that go all the way along. So this is what he was fastening his up and down boards, his vertical boards to, and then fastening his horizontal boards to these vertical boards that were here. So what I want to find out is just how thick this insulation, styrofoam, is. So this point, this is 4 inches. So I'm hoping we're not that much. Guess what? Yeah. That's 4 inches of styrofoam. So that's well insulated, but that really complicates using the Tapcon screws for this. So we might continue on or redo his method of doing this, but do it all with pressure treated boards on the back going down, and then attach our boards to it. That way we're not messing around with Tapcon screws either, and that will make it a little bit easier. So we're going to check all of these blocks to make sure they're good and secure, replace anything that needs to be replaced, and then we'll get some pressure treated boards cut for our pressure treated boards. And we're going to give that a go and see how that works out. But for today, I think we've done enough. We're going to go have dinner, and we'll see you in the morning.
All right, folks, so it's a new day, and we're about to get ready to start putting our pressure treated boards in. But we're right beside the house, so what I think I'm going to do is set up a workstation here. We're going to get our canopy out, get my portable workbench out, and bring the saw out here so it's right here with us rather than going back and forth to the shop. So we'll get that done and then get ready to actually do some work. All right, folks, so we've got our workstation all set up here and ready to go. I've got my portable workbench, my cutoff saw, all the bits and pieces of boards and stuff that I think we're going to need, along with our pre-stained pressure treated boards back behind you here. So we're going to set up and put our first board on as an experiment, basically, to see how the whole thing feels, how it looks. And then if that looks like it's going to work out well, then we're going to carry on from there. All right, folks, so we've got our first board here that we've put on. So we've got these blocks back here that we talked about yesterday. So this is our pressure treated board that we have cut and dipped the end in oil. And I've put a couple of screws in here, and I'm quite pleased with this. This is really solid. So I've put 4-inch screws in this so it goes through our pressure treated board. This is after I put a pilot hole in, and it goes through the 2-inch block here, and then it also goes into the either 2x6 or whatever it is that's sitting on top of the cement here. And that looks like it's going to hold it really nicely. So we're going to put about 4 of these along here for the first section. So we're going to dig down 16 inches. So we got 2 12-footers that are going in, and then 1 8-footer that's going to go into the bottom. So I think this is going to work. We'll do a little more digging and start getting these in place. All right, folks, so as usual, I've come across something that I didn't think of, wasn't really counting on. So I've got the first 8 feet worth of these boards in here, and we did, so it's a 12-footer that's going in along the top, so we still got more to go. But in that process, we took one of the 8-foot boards and put it in place to look at it, and I'm quite happy with how it fits. But the one thing that I didn't take into consideration is the warpage of those boards. I mean, they are, all the ones I got are pretty nice and flat and everything, but they do have a slight warp, and they could warp a little more. And the thing with that is I've got these boards fastened in really tight here at the top with 4-inch screws going right back into the 2x6s on the top of the foundation, but nothing on the bottom. So they could, I mean, this one's pretty tight, but if these boards warp that we're putting along here, they could end up pulling things out from the bottom. You know, I won't get a straight line. So did a quick trip into Home Hardware and got Tapcon screws, more of them, 6-inch long Tapcons. So we've got a 1-inch board here to go through, and then 4 inches of styrofoam to get through. So I'm hoping that the 6-inch long Tapcons will do it. It's not as much into the cement as you should have, but we'll see what happens. Okay, let's drill. All right, there's our first hole.
Nice, works good. Okay, so that's going to be what we're going to do for the rest of these boards. Going to put one Tapcon in the bottom. That's got everything really, really solid. So I'm going to get the Tapcons into the ones we've got in place and then continue putting in our next set of boards. I keep running into the battens causing me an issue. Okay. There we go. We're ready for our first 3 boards. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple of screws in here and then come down and push that end up.
Okay.
And put 2 screws in down there. Yeah, so we're going to put 2 12s, 1 8, and then 2 8s here. Yeah, I think we have to stain one more board.
Okay.
But that's fine. Let's keep putting up what we've got.
You want to do every 12?
Yep. What's that?
It doesn't feel like it's got much to it.
No, it looks like it's perfectly straight there. Out, or is it okay? Let go of pressure.
Yep.
Push it down.
Yeah, this one's warped.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna push up on this end.
Okay. Get that one in first.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Do you want to grab the? Okay. Can you hold that there?
Yeah.
I need to get 2 screws in before you let off.
Maybe even the next one down too.
Yeah. Beauty. Okay, so next are 8-footers. So we've got to cut more of our boards and stuff now. So we've got 2 8-footers to go on this end. And
We should probably stain the last board now too, right? So it's dry for when
yeah,
we need it.
we need to do that. All right, hang on. And you can see that anvil cloud right there growing. All right. It rained on one side of the yard, but not on the other. Well, we got chased away by rain here, but we're doing really good. We've got our first set of boards in. We've only got 2 more boards to go. I'm going to put another 12-footer along the bottom, and then an 8-footer, which will take us over as far as we need to go here. And then I have to see what I'm going to do with these boards on the bottom of this window. I think I'm going to have to replace them, as they look in pretty rough shape. But everything else is not bad. Okay. A good day's progress today. Well, we're running down on the time that we have today. And unfortunately, tomorrow it's going to be raining. So I wanted to start cutting the frames in around our windows. But because of the chance of rain tomorrow, we're going to leave that for now. And after the day of rain that we're getting, and I hope we do get it, then we'll come back and start cutting and putting in the frames around the windows. So right now, we're just putting on the final stain color on the wall for as much as we can reach in whatever is left of today. This wood really soaks it in, so we're going through the stain, but we're getting there. Yeah, it's starting to look all right. All right, that's going to be it for another day. So we'll see you in the morning.
Bye!
Well, folks, it looks like the rain's coming in. That's going to stop us. So we've got to stop a little earlier than I'd like. And then we'll pick it up again tomorrow. All right, we'll see you in the morning. Well, all right, folks, we've made really good progress this week. Things have come along quite well. The bottom of this turned out to be no real serious surprises, which was a real treat. So we've still got more staining to do down here to get another 1 or 2 coats on, which we're going to do today. And then I've got to put the window frames in, and once the lower window frames are in, I'm going to put the border in and put in the pea gravel before I start working on the upper section. And I just want to give Chris a really big thanks for being here and helping out. It was great to have him here for the week. Made a really big difference. So, thanks, Chris.
Give me a hug. We'll do it again next year.
Yep. All right, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, if you've got any suggestions, comments, anything like that, please let me know. I always respond to everybody who comments, and I really appreciate the feedback. So remember to stay safe out there, be good to each other, and we will see you out on the trails the next time.
Like and subscribe.